District Civil Hospital, an old but functioning hospital located some distance from the city. It was established before independence. The hospital buildings are dilapidated, with yellow walls and dilapidated buildings. The mortuary was located in an isolated area at the rear of the hospital. A room where people only went when necessary. It had 4 windows. 3 normal and a 4th window that's always closed. Dr. Prachi's new arrival at the hospital. Posted age around 32. Recently posted as a forensic specialist from medical college. Strong, confident, but still nervous about her first mortuary appointment. She's had everything she's ever had. I'd read about it in some books. I'd never encountered a real corpse. His first encounter. I met Raghu, a mortuary assistant for the past 30 years. White leather jacket, bent back. But his face always held a look of alertness. His body was frail, but his eyes. The experience was profound. Everything at the funeral home was according to his wishes. Another person there. It was AJ, and the boys were careless. But Ted sometimes broke the rules when it came to work. Was quite popular with the nurses. He had a light-hearted demeanor. But sometimes. He was known to be overly enthusiastic. Dean Ghosh ran the civil hospital. The head of the hospital is a strict administrator in his 60s, but sensitive inside. He took the old-fashioned ideas seriously. He himself believed that some things were beyond logic. She was on night duty. Nurse Kavita was accompanied by senior nurse Tejand. Vigilant, she notices every little detail. But even she doesn't like to linger near the funeral home for long. She had witnessed strange things happen many times, but she never spoke openly. The doctor. When Prachi Sharma was sent to duty at this mortuary, she thought it was just it's a government job. Look at dead bodies during the day, make a report, and return home in the evening. But as soon as he entered the mortuary for the first time, Raghu stopped her and said, "Madam, please open the remaining 3 windows. But the 4th one. Never touch the window." "Why? Does a ghost live there?" "Everyone who comes here laughs. Then one day they quietly leave." Prachi gently hugs him. But this was the beginning of a horror story that would slowly become part of his life. It was at AM 6 years ago, another doctor worked at the same hospital. Dr. Joshi. Dr. Joshi was a capable doctor, but he did not believe in superstitions. It was AM one night, while on duty, he opened the 4th window to smoke a cigarette. It was AM, but Nurse Kavita was passing by and saw the scene. As soon as he opened the window, some smoke came in and Dr. Joshi stood there in shock. There was such fear on his face, as if he were seeing something that wasn't there. Poetry a little. She left for a while, but when she returned, she found Dr. Joshi in a strange state. He looked up. His eyes were open. His face was drenched in sweat. He stared at the window for a moment. It was Dr. Joshi didn't say anything to anyone after the incident. But he had changed inside. He quietly applied for his transfer. But it took 2 weeks for his transfer to be approved. His body had already been found in the hospital compound, under that same 4th window. Eyes open. Her body was unharmed, but her face remained as terrified as Nurse Kavita had seen that night. Watched after the incident, Kavita told Dean the truth. "It was 2 weeks ago. Joshi sir was working the night shift. I was leaving the bathroom when I saw him open the 4th window and light a cigarette. Saw it burning. When I returned, Joshi sir was scared to death on the ground. I was sitting, drenched in sweat, looking out the same window. Just then, the hospital administration issued an order that the 4th window of the mortuary be kept closed at all times. Prachi went about her daily duties. She would make reports and return home on time. The 4th window was just a closed corner for her. No questions, no interest. But one day, there's not enough space for autopsies. and unknowingly placed a table in front of the fourth window on which a fresh dead body was lying. The time was set and he had no idea how this small mistake would lead to a terrifying night. Was about to open the door. It was a new moon night when Prachi went to the mortuary. I was on duty alone. Suddenly, the lights started flickering. Why were they flickering so suddenly? The generator is also on. Raghu, who was sitting near the door, came in and spoke softly. It's the new moon day, madam. And you've placed a table in front of the fourth window. Prachi should have the first one. A slight feeling of fear came over her. She looked around. She began to feel uneasy. Around 2 a.m., amidst the deepening silence in the mortuary, a strange rattling sound was heard. It felt like someone was rubbing their fingers on the window bars. Prachi slowly turned and looked at the fourth floor. She leaned on the window. She saw the iron bars of the fourth window slowly turning. It was as if someone had grabbed them from outside and pulled them in. Who was there? He looked out the window, but there was no one there. Only thick fog and a pale, dim light. The light was as if someone had lit a candle. She was starting to sweat. But she stood. She remained still, unmoving. Then a gust of cold air swept in, and the body's sheet fluttered in the air. Began to flutter. Prachi couldn't sleep that night. Her eyes remained fixed on the window until the next morning. This was the first time he had felt this way. Maybe there's something watching us all the time. The next day, Prachi's mind is flooded with questions. The first thing she does is pass Raghu. Called in. Raghu, you told me earlier about this fourth window thing. Was also mentioned. And something strange happened last night. Do you really know anything? Madam, this window hurts anyone who takes it lightly. Do you remember Dr. Joshi? The one who suddenly disappeared 2 years ago. He didn't disappear, madam. He was taken away. It was. I saw him that night. He had opened the window to smoke a cigarette. He died 2 weeks later. Prachi completely believed Raghu's words. It wasn't but she needed answers now. She went straight to Dean Ghosh's cabin. Sir, can you tell me the real story about the fourth window in the mortuary? Did something really happen? You asked at the right time, Dr. Prachi, but what you'll find out won't be easy. He got up from his chair and looked toward the window, as if remembering something, and then said, Dead bodies were never placed under that window. But there was a case 8 years ago. A girl named Neeti was raped and murdered. When her body was found, the body was badly disfigured. The family couldn't identify it, and it was placed on a table under a window without a funeral. What happened next? The next day, the doctor on duty at the time disappeared. Only her blood-stained slippers and waist belt were found under that window. They searched for him, but his body was never found. Did you tell anyone about this? No. But 6 years after that incident, Nurse Kavita came to me and told me about Dr. Joshi's. The story is told. Then I issued the order. The fourth window of the corpse planet is forever open. It will remain closed until. Prachi's face was serious now. She knew that this window was only. Bricks are not made of stone. This was his path of pain. And boy, AJ saw the entire fourth window. I didn't know the story. One night while on duty, I noticed a lot of dust accumulated near the window. After cleaning the rest of the room, After, his attention went there. He opened the window latch and bent down to clean it. She touched the window grill with her broom. A current ran through her body. Poetry seemed like a cold breath from this window. Is anyone there? Nurse Kavita was outside in the corridor, but she didn't feel anything until then. 2:45 a.m. At a.m., a heartbreaking scream suddenly echoed from the mortuary. Kavita rushed inside. There was AJ lying on the floor, his eyes wide open, his mouth open as if screaming. It must have been. His face was pale and frightened. He seemed to have seen something before he died. He couldn't bear it. He looked out the window and saw a woman in a red sari. A figure stood there, its face hidden in the mist. And the next moment, it vanished. Past. Kavita was stunned. She understood that AJ made the same mistake as Dr. Joshi. Prachi, besides being a doctor, was also a bit spiritual. She understood Nidhi's anguish and decided to will completely solve this mystery. She somehow convinced Dean Ghosh and the next. On the night of the new moon, Baba Maheshwar Nath, an experienced tantric, was called in. Baba performed the ritual of Shiva Graha. Sitting on the door frame, he began preparing for the tantric ritual. Red sandalwood lines were drawn with ashes. Circle and chanting. Fearing for her own safety, Prachi sets up a camera in front of the fourth window and the law itself has been involved. The soul that thirsts for justice now reveals itself. It will be. Don't be afraid. It is now your duty to expose the truth. 3 a.m. The window chains rattled, and a cold breeze filled the mortuary. The camera screen went blank. Then Prachi heard, "Give me justice." A shadow slowly appeared. The same girl. Burnt skin, half-open lips and blood-stained sari. I waited. No one knew my truth every night. No one lit my funeral pyre. I remained incomplete. Prachi stood trembling. Her eyes. There were tears in. I will perform your last rites. I will give you peace. That's a promise. It was. Baba threw ashes on the window while reciting mantras. And with a sharp cry, the key, as if a spirit, seemed to have unleashed years of pain. The room temperature began to return to normal. But in the air, there was still a heaviness. It was as if the pain had not completely gone away. What Baba Maheshwar Nath had said. The ashes poured on Nidhi's soul calmed her troubled spirit for a few moments. The room temperature returned to normal. It was. Baba said softly to Prachi, now is the time to grant her final liberation. Her funeral will not take place until then. This pain will never end. The next day, Prachi investigates Nidhi's old case. Reopened. Through DNA tests and hospital records, they finally reached Nidhi's family, managed to arrive. When the family was told the truth, they were in tears. He had given up hope that his daughter's soul would ever find peace. Baba handed over the ashes he had thrown on the soul and said, now these are his bones. Let them be cremated as per the rituals. Immerse the body and grant salvation to the soul. After a week, perform the full rituals. Nidhi was cremated on the banks of the Ganga at that night. The fourth window in the mortuary closed by itself. For the first time, there was the sound of fingers. Did not come. No shadows were visible. The air was still and there was a calm in the room. As if someone. It seems the soul that has been crying for years has been embraced. The hospital administration has now closed the window. A picture of the goddess was hung along with a lock. Even now, people say that some spirits then. They wander until they get justice, and the fourth window was not just a way out. That was his death cry. If you enjoyed this story, please let us know. Subscribe. Be sure to follow our Instagram and Facebook pages. If you have a similar story, please leave us a comment. Send it in. We'll try to make yours the next animated story.